Marvin, Redpost, Class President by Lewis Carr. Chapter 7. If you have time, Mr. President, the children have prepared questions, said Mrs. North. Well, I hope I'm prepared to answer them, said the President. Now I met your class, I'm sure there will be very interesting questions. Mrs. North had the students to take turns coming in front of the room. They would go by rows. Marvin sat in 4th in the second row. He counted the people ahead of him. He would be 9th. Judy Jasper was first. Mrs. North told her to first say her name, then ask her a question. She reminded her to speak loud enough for everyone to hear. "Judy Jasper!" shouted Judy, causing the president to jump back. "Not quite so loud," said Mrs. North. "Judy Jasper," said Judy. "When you were in 3rd grade, did you know you'd be president someday?" "When I was in 3rd grade, Judy," said the president, "I don't think I even knew there was a president. I was more interested in playing with my friends." Judy started to return to her seat, but the president called her back and shook her hand. Stuart was next. "Stuart, all right," he said. What if you don't like white? Can you paint your house different color?" The president laughed. "The White House doesn't belong to me. I live there, but it belongs to all of the citizens for our country. And I don't think I would be painted in blue and yellow polka dots. Do you, Stuart?" Stuart's mouth dropped open. It's okay with me." He shook President's hand and hurried back to his seat. Marvin practiced his question in his hand. What are you doing about pollution?" He wondered if he had to say his name first, since the president already knew it. Marvin Redpost. What are you doing about pollution, Mr. President?" He had to remember to call him Mr. President. Clarence was next. "I have a 2-part question," he said. "Okay," said the president. "Do you have a dog?" "Yes." Does your dog know you're president?" The president laughed. "You know, Clarence, I've been asked lots of questions, but I don't think anyone ever asked me that before." He thought it over and said, "I don't think my dog cares I'm president. I've Pickles for 12 years. She was always made me feel if I'm the most special person in the whole world, even before I was president." Clarence shook the president's hand. "Casey Appleton, are you doing anything about rid of the pollution, Mr. President?" Marvin felt a stab of disappointment. Now he had to think of another question. "I'm trying," said the president. The problem is that everyone causes a tiny bit of pollution. Everyone thinks that a little bit doesn't make any difference. But when you put all those tiny bits together, you get a big problem." Casey nodded. "Ask her another question," said Melanie. "Only one question each," said Mrs. North. "But she's got a question I bet he's never heard before," said Melanie. "Well, let's hear it," said the president. Casey looked at Mrs. North to see if it was okay. In the classroom, Mrs. North was still the boss, not the president. Mrs. North nodded. Casey took a breath. "Do I have to say my name again?" "No, I know you're Casey Appleton," said the president. Casey smiled. She took another breath. "If a spaceship landed in my backyard and a little green man said, take me to your leader, should I take him to you? And how do I do that?" Everybody laughed. "I think you should take him to Mrs. North," said the president. Everybody laughed again. Mrs. North laughed the loudest. Casey shook the president's hand. Marvin practiced a word question. "Marvin Redpost, are you going to get into a war anytime soon, Mr. President?" "Marvin Redpost, are we?" It was Travis's turn. "Hi, I'm Travis. Do you hate people who didn't vote for you?" "No. What really bothers me, Travis, is when people don't vote at all. It makes me think they don't care about the country." "Oh, good," said Travis, "because my parents voted. They just don't vote for you." The president shook his hand. "Patsy Gatsby," said Patsy. She was the first person in Marvin's room. Are there ever days you wish you weren't president?" The president had to think a long time before answering that one. I know there are many days when other people wish I wasn't president, he said. They're Travis's parents, said Patsy. The president smiled. It's not an easy job, Patsy, he said. There are times when it would be nice to take a hike or just watch TV or something. But I don't think I ever wished I wasn't president. I feel very proud to have been elected and served as a citizen of the country. Patsy shook his hand, then returned to her seat. Nick Tuffle, when are you going to get another country? Do you ever have really weird food and pretend you like it? The president nodded. It happens a lot. I tried to spread on a plate, so it looks as I ate more than I really did. I did that too, said Nick. What's the weirdest thing you ever had to eat? Probably jellyfish. Oh, gross, said Nick. Nick didn't seem at all nervous talking to the president. They shook hands. Then he returned to his seat. Marvin was getting very nervous. It was Melanie's turn, and he was after Melanie. Mr. President, are you going to get into war anytime soon? Marvin Redpost. Melanie asked her question. Is there going to be another war? Marvin couldn't believe it. I hope not, Melanie. It's just like being a good citizen. You shouldn't fight. Our country is a citizen of the world, and we shouldn't fight either. Melanie shook the president's hand. Marvin slowly walked in front of the room. Hi, Marvin, said the president. I'm sure you got a real good question. Marvin didn't know what to do. All he had left was his shoe question. Marvin Redpost, he said. He looked at the president, who was looking at him. Marvin was impressed by how kind and smart he was, and how he remembered everybody's name. Marvin hoped to be president someday too. He wanted to be just like him. Is there something we should do now if you want to be president someday? The president nodded and smiled at Marvin. I think you're already doing it, Marvin, he said. Work hard, listen to your teacher, be a good citizen, all those things we talked about earlier. If you do that, then any of you, Casey, Travis, Nick, Patsy, might be the president someday. The president put his arms around Marvin's shoulders. Take a good look at this bright young man here. You may be looking at a future president. Marvin could see that all the cameras were pointing to him and the president. He tried not to smile. He didn't want to look goofy.